a strong constitution. It's the country's 5th constitution and the first one since our first democratic elections in 1994. But how did it come about? During the transition from apartheid from 1990 to 1994, the goal was to create a new and fair democratic constitution by which to run the new democracy. Both the original interim constitution and the final constitution were created by a multitude of South African experts, legal minds, and politicians across racial lines and from different political viewpoints. But it took a lot to get the final constitution agreed to. Let's take you back through time. Briefly. February 1990, the National Party government unbanned political parties and people, releasing many from prison, including Nelson Mandela. December 1990, the first session of CODESA, the Convention for a Democratic South Africa, was held with 19 political groups. They agreed to a new constitution for South Africa's way forward. May 1992, deadlock at the second session of CODESA, mainly about how to write the new constitution. The ANC and COSATU then decided to start a campaign of rolling mass action. June 1992, 45 people were murdered in the Boipatong massacre, and the ANC withdrew from CODESA. March 1993, full negotiations started at the World Trade Center in Kempton Park with the new name Multi-Party Negotiating Process. 26 parties took part and agreed to write and adopt an interim constitution to say how the government would govern after the elections. They also adopted 34 constitutional principles, basically the guidelines for the Constituent Assembly that would draw up the final constitution. April 1993, South African Communist Party and ANC leader Chris Hani was assassinated at his home. June 1993, the parties announced a date for democratic elections, 27 April 1994. At the first non-racial democratic elections on 27 April 1994, 400 members were elected to the National Assembly and 90 to the Senate. This was the new Constitutional Assembly. The Constitutional Assembly was a multi-party group. They established committees and solicited public opinion and battled out various sticking points, such as the death penalty, the property clause, the appointment of judges, and proportional representation. Lastly, the draft was tested at the Constitutional Court before President Nelson Mandela signed it into law in Sharpeville on International Human Rights Day. You can find the Constitution in 11 of the official languages on the website of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development.